Hi, you guys. Let's talk about percents and decimals as a fraction, or writing percents as decimals and as fractions. Now, it's kind of a funny thing. I know you've seen in my classroom that diaper box, and a lot of you have been saying, why do you have that diaper box, Mrs. Steele? Well, it's about today's lesson. See this sad little baby? You know what happens if you don't change a wet diaper on a baby, it makes a puddle on your floor. So we're going to talk about puddle today a lot. Let me explain. The goal is to write a percent, that's the P, as a decimal, that's the D, and then we have to remember to move left because puddle has a P and then a D and then an L, so a puddle. So percent to decimal, move the decimal to the left. Okay. So the vocabulary word here is percent. Percent means per cent, if I break it apart, which is per 100. Just like there are 100 pennies in a dollar, that's how you can remember per cent. So 18% would be 18 per 100. Or another way to think of 18% is 18 hundredths. So look at example 1 right here. Writing percents as decimals, go to the left. So let's say they started us off with 0.48%. And I wrote it over here. Look at A, 0.48%. Well, if I want to change the percent to a decimal, I grab the decimal point and move it 2 places to the left. So that would give me 0.0048. Take a look at B. If I have 150%, well, I would write it out right here, 150%. And remember, if I don't see the decimal, it's at the end of the number. So put that decimal point and then grab it and move it 2 places to the left. And that would give you 1.75. And take a look at C. If I have 3.6%, well, write it out, 3.6%, and then grab that decimal point and move it 2 places to the left, and you get 0.036. Okay, take a look at example 2, finding a percent of a number. Remember, percent, we're going to have to change it to a decimal. Of means multiply, and then we're going to multiply it by whatever number they give us. So, election. You are running for class president. In the election, 250 students vote, and 64% of the votes are for you. How many votes did you get? So, solution. To find the number of votes that are for you, just multiply 64% by 250. So they set it up here, 64% times 250. Well, take a look at that 64%. We have to go down here and change it to a decimal. So remember, percent to decimal, go left 2 places. So I wrote 64%, I grabbed the decimal point, I move it 2 places to the left, and that gave me 0.64. But now I have to remember to multiply it by 250. So I showed my work over here. 250 times 0.64 gave me 160. So I got 160 votes. Hi, you guys. So let's practice writing percents as decimals. So look at number 1 in the guided practice, 92%. The first thing you do is write it out, and then you want to grab your red, and I want to see that decimal at the end of the 2, and then move it 2 places to the left, and so you'll get your answer of 0.92, and then you can box your answer. Take a look at number 2 when they gave us 206%. You want to grab your red and put that decimal point at the end of the number, and then remember, percent means move it 2 places to the left, and then you would get your decimal of 2.06, and you can box your answer. And then take a look at number 3. I see the decimal, so when I see the decimal, I just circle the decimal, and I grab it and move it 2 places to the left, and so that would give me a decimal of 0.475. And then on that last one, I also see the decimal, and so I'm going to grab my red, I circle it, I move it 2 places to the left, and that would give me the decimal of 0.008. And then I box my answer. take a look at number 5. It says, use the information from example 2 on the other page. Suppose that 56% of the votes are for you in the election. How many votes did you get? Well, remember, we're just going to take the 56% and multiply it by the 250 votes. And so we have to change that percent to a decimal. So the first thing I do is I put the decimal in there so I can see it, and then I grab it and move it 2 places to the left to make it 0.56. And then if you look over here, I did my work, 250 times 0.56, and I got 140. So my final answer, of course, would be 140 votes. That's how many I got in that election. And then take a look at example 3. Now they want us to write percents as fractions. Well, remember, percent means per 100. So we have to put whatever number they give us over 100. And I'm going to start off with B because that's a little bit easier for people to see. Take a look at B, 175%. So I grab the number in front of the percent, the 175, and I put it over 100 because that's what percent means. And then all I have to do is reduce that. So I know that 25, I always think quarters. I know that 25 would go into 175, and I also know that 25 would go into 100. And just think quarters. So I know that there are 7 quarters that make $1.75, and there are 4 quarters that make $1. So I know that gives me the fraction of 7 over 4, which is an improper fraction, so I could write it as a mixed number as 1 3/4. And I box my answer. Now let's look at A. That's a little bit trickier because of the number they gave us. Take a look at A. They gave us 0.48%. So I put the 0.48 on top over 100. Now don't worry about that decimal on top. We don't ignore it. We have to do something with it. So see how it's 0.48 in the numerator? We want to make it look like a whole complete number. So grab the decimal point and move it 2 places to the right to make it a whole number, to make it 48. But whatever I do on the top of the fraction, I have to match on the bottom of the fraction. So put your decimal there after the 100 and move it also 2 places to the right. So we end up getting this fraction that looks like 48 over 10,000. 100 with 2 more zeros, 10,000. And now I'm going to reduce it. So you can divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, as much as you like. I'm going to divide by 4 first, okay? And if I divide by 4, that's going to give me 12 over 2,500. And then I'm going to divide by 4 again on both the top and the bottom. And that's going to give me my simplified fraction, as simple as I can get it, in this case, of 3 over 625. And I would box my answer. So just keep reducing until you cannot reduce anymore. Okay, so take a look at C, 3.6%. So put 3.6 per 100. And now remember, grab your red and let's turn that numerator into a whole complete number. So circle the decimal and move it 1 place to the right, and then put that decimal on the 100 and move it 1 place to the right, and then show me the fraction you get. You would get 36 over 1,000. And now we have to reduce, so I'm going to divide both the top number and the bottom number by 4. And so that would give me my reduced fraction of 9 over 250. And that's as low as I can go, so I box my answer. All right, take a look at the guided practice here. Write the percent as a fraction. Remember, percent to per 100. And so I wrote 78%. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'm going to grab my blue just to show you. When I change it to per 100, I want you to get rid of that percent symbol. So it becomes 78 over 100. And then I just have to reduce it. In this case, they're both even numbers. So I'm going to divide by 2 on the top and the bottom. And that's going to give me my final fraction of 39 over 50. and I box my answer. And then take a look at number 7 here. So I have 0.84%. So I'm going to grab my blue and change the percent to per 100. And I'm going to scratch out that percent because it's gone. And then I'm going to grab my red and I'm going to move that decimal point on the top 2 places to the right. And whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom 2 places to the right. And that's going to give me a fraction of 84 over 10,000. The 100 plus 2 more zeros. And then I want to divide both the top and the bottom by 4, because I see that 4 goes into the top, and I know it's going to go into the 10,000. And that's going to reduce my fraction and give me 21 over 2,500. And so I box my answer there. Okay, and then take a look at number 8, 135%. So I'm just going to grab my blue and I'm going to change that percent symbol to per 100, and then I get rid of the percent symbol. And I notice that 5 goes into both the top and the bottom, so I'm going to reduce by 5 on the top and on the bottom. And so that gives me an improper fraction this time of 27 over 20. Or if I write it as a mixed number, that would be 1 7/20. And I box my answer there. And then for number 9, I have 9.2%. So first we got to make it look like a fraction. So I'm going to grab my blue and put it per 100. And when I do that, I get rid of the percent symbol. And then I'm going to grab my red. I'm going to make that top number a whole complete number. So move the decimal point 1 place to the right. Then I have to match that on the bottom, move the decimal 1 place to the right, and I rewrite my fraction. That gives me 92 over 1,000, and I see that 4 goes into both the numerator and denominator, so I divide both by 4. I'm reducing, and that will give me my final simplified fraction of 23 over 250, and I box my answer. There we go.